of my viewers asked me my opinion on Charles Darwin, and I want to point out, I see Charles Darwin as basically a prophet of the next stage in human evolution. And matter of fact, he's the guy that took the concept of evolution and made it a popular scientific, it's now a scientific law basically, let's get real. But the fact of the matter is, first I want to correct the problems with so-called social Darwinism. You have to understand there's R selection and K selection. R selection is people or species that have a lot of offspring that are opportunistic, and not many offspring are going to live, like crabs or some groups of people. And then you have the Caucasian people, the Asian people, the indigenous American people, where you have few offspring, but a high investment in parenting. Now, in some of the indigenous American people, it's in between the two. They have both a lot of offspring and an investment in parenting. So what you have to understand is this. The concept of social Darwinism is only the strong survive is not accurate. The concept of social Darwinism, if actually understood from an evolutionary standpoint, is the generalist survives, or those that are best adapted to the survival in the environment survive. Now, what a lot of people don't understand about Darwin, and because he's been bashed so badly by, say, Christians, especially born-again Christians, and he has also been championed by godless atheists, you have disconnection from the fact that Charles Darwin was a devout Christian, and he remained a devout Christian until he was dead. He had a lot of disagreements with the Anglican Church, and became a Unitarian. But like Sir Isaac Newton, now people don't know this about Isaac Newton. Isaac Newton was a devout Christian and had a whole branch of theology that he was working at that was heretical. He was anti-Trinitarian. He didn't believe in a Trinity. He believed in the singularity of God. And what I would like to point out is, like Darwin, the mechanism for natural selection was found by Gregor Mendel, who was a monk from Germany. And like his mechanism for natural selection that through heredity was discovered by Gregor Mendel, Darwin didn't know about it, so too was the justification of Darwinism in a religious understanding validated by Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. Now, what I want to get through to people is this. Charles Darwin's ideas, he was wrong about some things. For example, he thought embryology would somehow prove evolution, because he believed it showed the process of the different life forms in the development of the fetus, okay? Now, obviously that wasn't true, but the thing is, what people don't understand about people like Darwin and Newton and these early scientists is that they, or I should say natural philosophers, which is what they were, and I want to get this clear too, science used to be natural philosophy. It used to be a calling instead of a career. That's why we're not seeing science the way that we did before, because science is no longer a calling, it is a way to make money, and that's why you see a lot of nonsense being pushed, a lot of politicization. For example, you see people like Bill Nye saying gender is a spectrum, when we clearly know gender is not on a spectrum. Gender is chromosomally assigned at birth. So what you have is you're not going to see Newtons, you're not going to see Darwins, you're not going to see the greats of scientific achievement anymore, because science is no longer a calling. And we must remember that Darwin was originally wanted to join the clergy of the Anglican Church. So my point is, a lot of people do not understand the fact that since science ceased being a philosophy, we have to understand the other name for the scientific method is the empirical method, from the empirical philosophers. So my point being is this. the further we get from science as a philosophy, and the more we get to it as a career, the more we see it being bastardized. And this is why I also agree with the public funding of science, because a lot of the basic science that we need. Now, this is something with life extension research. A lot of life extensionists would like to see a libertarian approach well, to life extension. But the problem with this is the fact that the basic science needed to achieve basically great extension in human lifespan, the basic science required is not profitable. Therefore, you're not going to see private investment, and you need public investment. Just like we need public investment in things like understanding the human brain, understanding the genome of humans and all life on Earth, and understanding the universe around us, because that helps keep it from being corrupt. And people will go, well, the governments of the world are corrupt. Well, the thing with that is, especially the United States government does keep science honest by busting people's balls when they lie. And that's what needs to happen. But the problem is, lobbyists, of course, do try to purchase science. And that's why you see, like, global warming. Now, I have a whole playlist about how global warming, man-made global warming, is absolute hogwash. And it is absolute hogwash. But because of this, you see such a distrust in science. You see things like flat earthers. Flat earthers have come back in style, which is absolutely crazy. But you also see people in denial of Darwinism. You see people in denial of all sorts of scientific truths, that if Western civilization is to be lifted back up and to go beyond where it was, you cannot turn a blind eye to the truths of science, whether it's biology, physics, or geology, or simple truths such as the earth is round. So that's why I would encourage people to actually understand, if not in a scientific sense, the fact that it is important to honor people like Darwin, like Newton. These people are the people that have lifted Western civilization up to where it was, and these are the people that will help promote the lifting of it beyond where it was to a future area where humanity can achieve more than, can transcend human limitations, is what I'll say.